Hi, welcome to another episode of Real Estate Unleashed. I am your co-host, Regan Hildebrand. You can find me on social media at Realtor Regan.
And I am your other co-host. I am Bridget Quinn, and you can find me on all social media, B Quinn Realtor.
Welcome, Bridget.
Howdy doodies.
Oh, I'm doing, yeah, a little back pain. Real estate's a pain in the back.
Well, yes,
and
it
other
is.
things.
For sure.
So
It's one of those Mondays of Mondays.
Yeah. Again, we release on Fridays. We record on Mondays. So sometimes the weekend really gets the best of us.
Yes, it does.
But that's all right.
Yes.
So we're here today, picking up kind of where we left off last week.
I would say part deux.
Part deux.
Part deux.
Hot Shots Part deux. I saw that in
Exactly.
the movie theater. That shows my age.
Oh, wow. That really shows your age.
Yeah.
I was listening to some Blink 182. What's my age again?
Oh, yeah.
What's
I don't
my
wanna
age
talk
again?
about it.
I don't know.
My back knows what age I am. But yeah, we're picking up where we left off last week in episode 24. We talked a little bit about what real estate agents typically agree on.
Yeah.
And so here for episode 25, the silver anniversary,
Ooh.
we'll talk a little bit
It
about...
sounds fancy when you say that.
Fancy. Talk a little bit about, the things that may be a little bit more contentious that agents don't always agree on. And
There's a lot of
more,
those things too.
Yeah, the subjective realm of real estate.
Well, I think real estate it's a lot of black and white, but it's also very gray areas too.
For
Do you know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah, and we have, like you said, the black and white rules that we operate within, and the laws and the regulations, local rules, state rules.
And we
national-
were talking off screen about how we have like standards for like the state level, North Carolina, or even NAR, which is the national realtors, and then very different rules when you're inside of our canopy MLS system.
Yeah, the multiple listing service, or MLS as we call it, kind of dictates on a local level what we can and can't do as far as different listings and marketing, and that it's agents obviously always want to market the house that they have as a listing, or they want to help another agent market a house or a property. And the reason that they might help another agent is in order to gain maybe some buyer clients.
Exposure.
Yeah, exposure, buyer clients for themselves to kind of build their brand, build their book of business themselves. But there's all these little rules and regulations, and you can't really say, well, I disagree with it and I'm going to do it. We can disagree with it, but we're bound by those.
Right.
So, like you said, you and I were talking about a particular listing that I have coming up that I was hoping to be able to do some creative marketing with, that we were going to work on. But unfortunately, found out this weekend that the MLS rules kind of handcuff a little bit of what we can do there. So, disagreed personally on that rule, but
I can see where some rules come from and why they do certain things, but it's always those one bad apples that spoils the bunch.
yeah. And I honestly, I think some of the times the rules are a little ridiculous in some cases because they're too narrowed, like hedging
Well,
people
I think
in.
sometimes it doesn't keep up with technology and where it's going today. It's still 1980s, 1990s real estate.
Yeah, we weren't born and bred into that. So
We were born.
not into
Not
the
into real estate.
Yeah, born in the 80s for sure.
We were born in the
79,
1900s.
Yeah. I saw just a little off thing. I saw a little video, and somebody said that they handed their ID to somebody, and they quickly handed it back to them and said, "That was fast." I said, "Well, I saw a 19 in your date of birth." Oh God. Yeah. So we're a little old for it, and sometimes the rules surprise us. But
Yeah.
as agents, though, I think there are definitely things that we kind of split hairs on,
We
or
do.
other things that are very contentious and disagreeable. The number one that comes into mind when we're talking about disagreeable things is the more recent, let's say 5-year debate over favorite paint colors. And the most common paint color for a long time, and it's still probably very pervasive, is a color by Sherwin-Williams called Agreeable Gray. And for a long time, it was very agreeable. Now, it's like the disagreeable gray.
Well, it's a funny story because my mother's redoing their house inside, new kitchen cabinet, painting kitchen cabinets and redoing the walls and stuff. And she's like, well, what color? I'm like, well, agreeable gray is what you kind of want to do, because it is we talked about it before, it's very natural, it's a very neutral gray. It doesn't have a lot of blue hues or all this other stuff to it.
Yeah.
So as much as I sort of cringe at it, it's actually still a very good color.
It's a good color and it serves
But
good
I think
purposes.
it's been
And it's
overused by
way overdone.
everybody, though.
Yeah, and there's the whites are coming back a little bit more than the grays did for a while. Everything comes in waves, and it's a trend,
Yep.
and it might last a year or two. It might last a decade, but I think the bigger point is like every agent is going to have like probably a different viewpoint on what is trending versus or what is in style for both, not just paint colors, but decor in general,
Yep.
house styles.
Well, sure, now you've got the big bold colors like the dark green with the new gold, not really brassy gold, but
Yeah.
the nice gold, which looks really nice.
Yeah. And, on the exterior, there's still people that, prefer brick versus siding, or if you're doing siding, is it hardy board? Is it vinyl siding?
Or did you whitewash all the brick?
Whitewash the bricks. Yeah. Yeah.
There's some people that take it overboard that do like the really, really dark gray whitewash. The one on the way over from your house to my house, if you look on the right-hand side, it's like, whoa, that's a lot.
It's not a whitewash, it's a full-on paint job. Yeah.
Too much.
And, there's another home over in your neck of the woods, past your house over there, that has, I think it's almost like a blue color brick. And I sold that house to the people that own it now, and they did like a blue brick and a yellow door. Or is it lavender? I don't know. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, to each their own. But styles and things definitely change, when it comes to real estate, and agents will argue till the cows come home.
We do.
Over what's trending and what's not. Other things that agents kind of disagree on. What would you say kind of stands out?
I'd say probably commission splits when it comes to how we deal with things and
what's fair. Yeah. So for most folks, the agreements tend to be, and this is not a rule by any means, but that the seller of a home will pay for not only the services of the agent that's representing them, but also that agent will then split their commission with the agent who brings the buyer.
Agent, yep.
Yeah, so we call that commission splits.
Yep.
It's
and it varies all over the place, and I've seen, been on both sides to where it's, a decent amount, and I've seen where listing agents take more than the buyer agents.
Very lopsided in some cases. And there's situations.
There's situations where I understand, and I get it, or, I get it.
Yeah.
Is it right? I don't know.
Yeah, the equity of it, and just to kind of put the little asterisk beside this, because of anti-monopoly or rules and all those kind of things, which we won't get into today, we as agents cannot say what is the standard commission.
There is no standard.
There's no standards. There's nothing set. Even firms typically don't have anything written or set in stone for agents, and that gets into these anti-competitive rules and things. But to your point, most agents that are listing a home will have some kind of split there.
Yep. Well, because you want to bring buyers to your house. If you're having a listing and you're sharing it on the MLS for thousands and thousands of realtors to come show it. So
yeah, it's considered a part of the marketing of the home to entice agents to look at that property. And to your point, I think there are some also, not just agents, but builders that all over the place. One of the
it gets my goat, as they say.
One of the builders
or really grinds my gears.
Yeah, that we frequently deal with tends to not favor the presence of buyer's agents, or at least that's
and they
what
discourage that with flat fees, and it's a very extreme flat fee.
Right. And when you're representing a buyer, obviously your time investment in new construction can be significant because
Sure.
it's a drawn out process.
Well, as we talked about, a couple episodes ago, it's if I'm going to a builder and the builder has 200 plus pages on a contract, that's a lot of work
Yeah.
to decipher and to explain it and to take the time to go over it. So my time should be compensated as such.
Right. And, I'll be the first to say it that I believe has, compared to the way things used to be, that real estate agents, in many cases, can be overpaid. But there's a far extreme to that where it doesn't make sense for the agent to be working for next to nothing when you're talking about a 6 to 9 month period. Now, and because I know other agents will point this out, the thing that's important to say is we're not bound by any agreement with that listing or agency's agreement with their seller or with the builder, because we're bound by an agreement with our buyers.
Right.
And technically the buyer is on the hook
For the balance, if it's not whatever we said in the contract there.
Correct. Yeah. But I will say for most agents, and I know we're included in that, that we typically try to make things as easy on the buy side for our buyers as we can, because we don't want, they're already faced with higher interest rates now, obviously higher prices on the homes themselves,
Definitely.
so many other factors, and we don't want to burden them by saying, hey, here's the
You
difference.
owe us a commission too, or
Yeah.
whatever. The only difference in that is, especially if you look at a for sale by owner, that's one of the things that I say that if, the seller is not going to be paying, I am going to have to ask something of you. Do you know what I mean?
Right, for the
and
services.
that's an
yeah.
expectation for the service.
Yeah, and that's all discussed up front. So if you're a buyer and you're worried, well, I don't want to be blindsided by a fee that I didn't know I have to pay,
No,
then
everything is up front and
yeah, and if you're
talked
not
about.
getting it from your agent, then either one, you need to ask some questions of why we haven't discussed this, or
Right.
two, you need to say, hey, maybe this isn't working, and reach out. But if you're already under an agreement, then obviously you're set to go.
Again, see previous episode of what questions to ask your realtor.
Yep, exactly. There's so many good questions to ask there about splits and things, but yeah, it gets contentious.
As I say, it's the nitty gritty side of things that our clients don't necessarily know the ins and outs of, but it's things that we
As
work
agent,
with and discuss among ourselves quite frequently.
And and then there's the other pieces of the little more piddly things like listing photos. I can see your twitch. The listing photo thing. So, and what we mean by that, obviously every agent agrees that homes have to have listing photos
Yes.
to be for sale. Well, I think they do. But the quality,
It's questionable.
yeah, exactly. It's questionable. You
Some
sometimes
do
wonder.
not believe in quality like others.
And we've talked about that on previous episodes as
Ton of
well.
times.
But we could probably mention it till we go blue in our face. And I saw a great video that went into that just the other day, scrolling through, I think it was maybe Instagram or something, just pointing out how bad some of these photos are and the disservice it does for the property owner.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if the property is a bad property is a bad property, but you're not doing it any favors by getting rid of it like that.
No, and going back to how much agents get paid, I get it that typically the listing photos comes out of our pocket, but I believe that most people are getting compensated well enough that you can afford, and we're not talking like, I just hired a wedding photographer, and we're not even talking like the price of wedding photos for a listing photo. We're talking
Couple hundred, depends on the
hundred
property.
at most. Yeah,
if it's a large or a luxury property, you're going to be wanting to spend a little bit more, for maybe a drone or the 3D tour and different things like that.
Yeah, and you get what you pay for. I get that, but you also get what you don't pay for. And for agents that tend to want to DIY it with an iPhone or Android.
I think we've all done our own cell phone shots or, camera shots or whatever for investment properties or things that, have tenants in them, and we've talked about before. But generally speaking, on a traditional listing, please have professional photos.
Yeah, and the non-traditional ones sometimes even need it more, like the luxury listings.
Yeah,
And we've seen
definitely.
photos that were
Definitely.
horrendous on luxury listings as much as we have on, what would just be considered the average price
You know, if
point.
you're selling $1 million home, the photos need to reflect that it's $1 million home.
Right, and an iPhone 14 is not considered reflective of $1 million home, even though I know the prices of phones are stupid.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but yeah,
No,
that's definitely one of the things. What else would we say is a little more
I
contentious?
would say, just in conversation, there's a lot of agents that don't really want to deal with like home warranties amongst ourselves. I mean, I'm always one. If my buyers, as I said before, any house that's over, 6, 7 years old, I'm going to try to push for at least a home warranty at the very least. Do you have a year of no headaches and you can use it?
Mm-hmm. It can,
Again, are they the best thing ever? No, sorry, but
yeah, it's just like with any insurance, you can get pushback when you're trying to file a claim. But yeah, in this current market, it's pretty easy to use some leverage to get the seller to pay for that warranty.
well, as I say, a standard warranty, one that's decent coverage, depends on which company you go for.
Hmm.
550 to 750
Yeah.
is pretty average for a, normal size home.
And you can get, and I just priced one out for a client recently. You can get the top of the line coverage usually for under $1,000
Oh,
for a year of
sure,
coverage,
sure.
and the seller pays for that as the buyer. It's just you have to do the research to
Mm-hmm.
read the reviews to know which companies are a little bit better, and we have experience with those. So if
Yep,
you are looking for a home warranty company, because you can add them at any time,
sure.
then just reach out. We'll be happy to kind of share personal experiences
Mm-hmm.
with the different companies and put you in
I
touch with
mean,
a
we've
rep.
both worked with different ones for different reasons, and
Yep. Yeah, and it's situational. Sometimes certain
mm-hmm.
ones make more sense.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. Definitely, some agents are line in the sand, hate warranties.
They're
But
like, oh, I get it. Like, there's certain things that there's, technicalities or loopholes to where they won't cover certain things, and I get it. But generally speaking, it's something I personally always try to get my buyers for a little bit older house.
yep, same. Yeah, other things I think kind of you're talking about what agents do and don't do, or versus a different set of agents is how we kind of go about finding again that new book of business or people to work with. There's it's a kind of the shifting mentality of, do you do an open house? Even if you're the listing agent, do you worry about having an open house?
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of become, there's so many more virtual tours now that I think some agents depend on those.
Well, now in the world post COVID or in COVID, whatever you want to say, people are like, ooh, don't want to touch or don't want to
Right, or have somebody
germs
touch
or
their
have
stuff.
somebody, so I get it, but I
Yeah.
mean, they used to be a decent way of getting business and traffic and
And I think it depends on where the home is located, the
mm-hmm.
popularity of the area,
Yep.
all those kind of things. So yeah, it's situational, but it's also again a preference between agents. And if you're worried about, does my house, if I'm listing it, need to have an open house, just have a conversation with your agent if you have one. If you don't, then reach out to us. We'll talk to you about it, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
put you in touch with the right
We
person.
usually
And
have fun at the open houses
oh
too.
yeah, we've done several together, and it's meant to be a little bit more laid back and
Yeah.
not stuffy little things
No.
like that. So
Mm-mm.
um, but yeah, it all, you're right. Post COVID, people sometimes pull away from those.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways about obtaining business too. I think used to be a big thing when you and I were starting in real estate, that you're encouraged to either cold
Way back
call
when.
way back, cold call, or
Oh,
yeah, I know how you feel about that.
let me call somebody at 8 a.m. and see if they want to buy, sell, and invest in real estate.
Yes,
No, thank you.
or
I'll
the door
text.
knocking on the weekends.
Again, I talked about that I think the last time or two
Hmm.
about safety for me going door knocking.
Yeah, and all those
There's
different
still
ways.
some older, not older as in like age, but like people that have been in the
Seasoned.
business yet seasoned agents.
Hmm.
Seasoned.
Sizzling.
Sizzling. That still want to do it. I mean, maybe they've had success with it,
And
but
it's a numbers game, but if you if you spend enough time and you have your scripts, which it's all rehearsal, and I hate to say it and burst the bubble for agents that want to keep like the magic behind the scenes, but in reality, if you're cold calling on people, to find out if they want to list their home or buy a house or invest, as you pointed out, or you're door knocking, whatever the case is, it's all scripted. It's all meant to be a numbers game. If you do 100 of them, maybe you'll get one person to talk to, and it can be exhausting. But again, it's about personality fit. I don't discourage agents if they want to go that route.
It's not for me.
It's not for us. We would rather.
I'd rather meet and greet you at a venue doing something fun, or at the open house, or
this way.
This way.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
We try to be a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, it's just.
But that's kind of the point, I think, of all this is, every agent's going to have a different personality and a different fit with their clients and with other agents.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's some things, again, we have to be black and white about.
We do.
Other things that were a little bit more preferential. But yeah, if you're out there looking for an agent, or if you're looking for the possibility of getting into real estate, whether it be in buying or selling side, it's important to understand what are the black and white areas versus what is just personality or whatever you have, that you like.
Sure.
So, reach out to us. Obviously, hit the subscribe button down there, the little bell also, to make sure you get notifications.
And there's sound effects with that.
Don't put the pressure on me to edit that in. You have to do your own sound effects here. We want to have fun. So if you don't have an agent, if you're not currently working with an agent, and you're looking to, even if it's down the road, you're not sure, reach out to us. Our contact information is below also. We'd love to talk to you just about what, questions you might have. Put some questions, put some comments down below as well, and we'll try to answer them in a future episode. And as always, we just want to make sure that we're available for you. You can reach me on social media at Realtor Regan.
And you can find me at B Quinn Realtor. And as always, we'll catch you next time.
Thanks guys.